The moment you break first, you give her the answer she was waiting for. You prove that your silence was not self respect, it was just waiting. You prove that your boundary was not a decision, it was a countdown. You prove that the moment loneliness becomes stronger than discipline, you will return to the same position she already expected you to take, the position of the man who always comes back, the man who always explains, the man who always reopens the conversation, the man who always feels the distance first and fixes it alone. And the painful truth is this: she may not reach out because you stayed silent. She may not regret losing you. She may not break first. But you will lose yourself if you keep breaking every time she stays silent. That is the real message. Do not break first, not to punish her, not to make her suffer, not to win a silent war. Do not break first because you have already said enough, explained enough, chased enough, waited enough, and lowered yourself enough for a person who already knows how you feel. If she wanted to understand, she had the chance. If she wanted to communicate, she knew where the conversation was. If she wanted to meet you halfway, she had the opportunity, but if she chose silence, distance, coldness, confusion, or uncertainty, then your job is not to keep fighting against the reality she is showing you. Your job is to stop abandoning your dignity just because the truth hurts. Before this video ends, you will understand why not breaking first changes the entire dynamic, what may happen inside her mind when your old pattern disappears, and exactly what to do if she finally reaches out. But first, you need to understand something that most men get wrong. No contact is not about who suffers more. It is not a contest over who can act colder. It is not a game where the first person to message loses. That kind of thinking is still controlled by ego. A mature man does not ask, how do I make her break first? He asks, what decision protects my peace, my character, and my future? That is different because if your silence is only a strategy to make her text you, you are still chasing. You are chasing without words. You are checking without messaging. You are waiting without admitting it. You are imagining her reaction every hour while pretending you have moved on. Your phone may be silent, but your mind is still begging. Real strength begins when silence becomes a boundary, not a performance. A performance says, I will stay quiet until she feels the loss. A boundary says, I will stop participating in a one sided connection even if she never returns. A performance watches for results. A boundary returns to life. A performance is still about controlling her. A boundary is about leading yourself. That is why you do not break first, because every time you break, you reinforce the old pattern. Think about what happened before. She became distant. You moved closer. She replied coldly. You tried to become warmer. She stopped initiating. You carried every conversation. She became uncertain. You became more certain. She asked for space. You tried to shrink the space. She gave you crumbs. You treated them like hope. And every time you did that, she learned something. She learned that your attention would return. She learned that your standards could be negotiated. She learned that your absence was temporary. She learned that you might say you were done, but you were never really gone. You may not have meant to teach that lesson, but behavior teaches more than words. You told her you were tired, then you returned. You told her you needed respect. Then you accepted disrespect. You told her you were stepping back. Then one small sign brought you forward again. You taught her that your pain was not strong enough to make you choose yourself. Now the pattern has to end, not with anger, not with revenge, not with a dramatic message, with consistency. You stop. You do not send the extra text. You do not check the story. You do not ask mutual friends what she is doing. You do not post something designed to make her jealous. You do not send a fake casual message when what you really want is reassurance. You remain still, and at first, she may not react. That is where men panic. They expect silence to create immediate regret. They imagine that after 2 days, she will feel the absence. After 4 days, she will start missing them. After a week, she will send a message. Then nothing happens. She posts normally. She laughs with friends. She appears unaffected. And suddenly, the man begins questioning everything. Maybe she never cared. Maybe she has moved on. Maybe I should contact her before it is too late. This is the moment where you must stay strong because her first reaction may not be pain. It may be relief. If the final stage between you was heavy, emotional, repetitive, full of questions, pressure, jealousy, arguments, or long messages, your silence may initially feel peaceful to her. She no longer expects another paragraph. She no longer has to explain every delayed reply. She no longer feels responsible for calming your anxiety. She no longer has to defend her need for distance. That relief may hurt your ego, but it does not always mean you meant nothing. It may mean the dynamic had become exhausting. Let her feel that. Do not interrupt it, because the moment you break first, you bring the pressure back. You remind her of the version of you she was trying to escape, the anxious version, the proving version, the version that cannot tolerate uncertainty, the version that needs an answer right now. Do not become that man again. Let the silence breathe. Let the pressure disappear. Let her experience the space she created, and let yourself experience life without constantly trying to repair someone else's distance. After the relief fades, something else may happen. She may notice the missing pattern. The message she expected does not arrive. The reaction she assumed would come never appears. The man who used to explain everything is not explaining. The man who used to check in is not checking in. The man who used to chase her silence is now silent too. At first, she may simply think, he has not contacted me. Then the thought becomes a question. Why has he not contacted me? Then the question becomes personal. Did he finally get tired? Did I push him too far? Is he moving on? Did he accept that we are over? Would he even answer if I reached out? This is where your old predictability begins to break. Before she knew where you stood, your attention was guaranteed, your feelings were visible, your door was open. Now she does not know. And uncertainty can make the mind return repeatedly to something it once took for granted. But listen carefully, her curiosity is not commitment. A woman wondering why you have not contacted her does not automatically mean she wants the relationship back. She may miss your attention. She may miss being wanted. She may dislike losing access. She may want confirmation that she still matters to you. She may want reassurance without responsibility. That is why you cannot break just because she gives you one small sign. She watches your story. That is not love. She likes something old. That is not accountability. She asks a friend about you. That is not reconciliation. She sends one word. Hey, that is not a relationship. A small move is only a small move. The real truth appears in what follows. Does she continue the conversation? Does she ask meaningful questions? Does she explain why she reached out? Does she take responsibility for what happened? Does she clearly express what she wants? Does her effort remain after she knows you still care? That final question matters more than the first message, because some people only come back to check the door. They do not want to walk through it. They only want to know whether it still opens. They want to know if the person they left is still available. They want to feel safe knowing they can return if they choose. And once they receive that reassurance, the urgency disappears. Do not give full access to someone who only offered a small sign. Stay calm. Let the pattern reveal the truth. Now, as your absence continues, memories may begin returning. Not because silence is magic, because emotional distance can change what a person notices. When a relationship is ending, the mind often focuses on what is wrong. Every disagreement becomes bigger. Every weakness becomes evidence. Every difficult conversation covers the good memories underneath it. But when you stop chasing, the final conflict begins to quiet down. The pressure fades, the defensive emotions lose intensity, and ordinary memories may return. The way you made her laugh, the way you listened, the small things you remembered, the private jokes, the place you always went together, the way you cared when she was stressed, the way you were available during moments when nobody else understood. Those memories may not arrive dramatically. They may come through a song, a road, a meal, a time of night, a moment of stress, a moment of good news when she instinctively thinks about telling you. For 1 second, the old connection returns. Then she remembers. You are not there. That is when absence becomes real. But again, do not build your life around what she may be remembering. She can remember you and still not return. She can miss the good and still believe the relationship was unhealthy. She can feel nostalgia and still choose distance. A meaningful past does not guarantee a shared future. This is why your silence must not be a waiting room. You are not sitting there counting days until regret begins. You are not studying her behavior like a detective. You are not measuring your worth through whether she misses you. You are rebuilding, because the strongest version of you is not the man who can wait the longest. It is the man who can stop making her reaction the center of his life. That is the version she never expected. She expected you to break. She expected the message. She expected the apology. She expected you to ask if she was okay. She expected you to return after the lonely night. She expected your feelings to override your standards, but this time you stay still, and that stillness communicates something words never could. I cared, but I will not chase. I miss you, but I will not beg. I would have worked on this, but I will not carry it alone. I respect your freedom, but I also respect myself. That is powerful because it is not loud, it is not dramatic, it does not insult her. It simply removes your participation from a dynamic where your effort was no longer being matched. Now imagine a man named David. David was always the one who broke first. After every argument, he messaged first. After every silent period, he apologized even when he did not fully understand what he had done. When she became cold, he became warmer. When she became uncertain, he explained more. He believed this proved love. But over time, she stopped feeling the weight of his presence. His return was predictable. His attention was guaranteed. His patience was expected. Then one day she pulled away again. This time, David wanted to send the familiar message, I hope we can talk. He typed it, then he stopped. He realized something painful. The message was not really about communication, it was about fear. He wanted her response to make him feel safe. He wanted her warmth to confirm that he still mattered. He wanted the silence to end because he did not know how to sit with it, so he deleted the message. The first night felt unbearable, the second night was worse. By the third night, his mind began creating excuses. Maybe she thinks I do not care. Maybe she is waiting for me. Maybe she will move on if I do not say something. But David asked himself one question. Have I already made my feelings clear? The answer was yes. She knew, so he stayed silent, not cold, not bitter, silent. Then he changed what he did with the pain. He trained, he worked, he cleaned his space. He put his phone away before sleeping. He stopped checking whether she was online. He stopped asking people about her. At first, everything still felt like a strategy. He hoped she would notice. He hoped she would miss him. He hoped the silence would work. Then slowly, something shifted. He realized the silence was working on him. He was no longer waking up ashamed of messages he sent at midnight. He was no longer begging for basic clarity. He was no longer teaching himself that his own promises meant nothing. He began trusting himself again. That is the real transformation. Not when she breaks, when you stop breaking your own word. 3 weeks later, her message came, You really disappeared. The old David would have flooded her with reassurance. No, I have been thinking about you every day. I just wanted to give you space. I miss you. The new David paused. He recognized that her message did not yet contain clarity. It contained observation, so he replied calmly. The situation felt one sided, so I stepped back. What made you reach out? That one response changed everything. It was not cold. It was not angry. It did not punish her, but it required substance. If she wanted a real conversation, she could have it. If she only wanted reassurance, she would have to reveal that. This is how you respond when she finally reaches out. Do not celebrate. Do not say, I knew you would text. Do not tell her she finally realized your value. Do not dump every emotion you have been holding inside. Do not answer like a man who has been standing beside the phone for weeks. Answer like a man who has been living. If she says, Hey, you can say, Hey, hope you're doing well. Then let her continue. If she says, You disappeared, you can say, The situation felt unclear, so I stepped back. If she says, So you stopped caring, you can say, I cared, but caring did not mean staying in uncertainty. If she says, I miss you, you can say, I appreciate you being honest. What are you hoping happens now? That question is important because missing you is not a plan. Loneliness is not commitment. Curiosity is not love. Jealousy is not accountability. If she wants something real, she needs to speak clearly. If she says, I don't know what I want, believe the entire sentence. Do not hear only the part that comforts you. She may miss you. She may also be unable to offer clarity. You can say, I understand, but I am not returning to an unclear situation. Take the time you need. Then step back. Do not become her waiting room. Do not provide daily attention while she decides whether she wants you. Confusion can have space, it cannot have unlimited access to your life. If she says she wants another chance, slow down. This is where many men lose the progress they built. They spend weeks becoming disciplined. They stop checking. They train. They work. They regain control. Then one message from her destroys everything. They reply instantly. They cancel plans. They become available at every hour. They ask where the relationship stands. They give full emotional access before she has shown real change. And what does she learn? She learns that nothing truly changed. The silence was not self respect, it was waiting. Do not abandon the man you became just because she finally noticed his absence. If she wants to rebuild, ask what changed. Ask what she understood during the distance. Ask what she wants now. Ask what both of you would do differently when the old problems return. Take responsibility for your part. Maybe you became anxious. Maybe you over explained. Maybe you tried to force closeness. Maybe you lost your direction. Maybe you made her responsible for your emotional stability. Own what is yours, but do not accept all the blame because you fear losing the opportunity. Repair requires two honest people, not one desperate man trying to make himself small enough to be chosen again. Then watch behavior. Does she initiate? Does she follow through? Does she communicate when uncomfortable? Does she respect your time? Does she continue investing after she knows you still care? Trust should grow at the speed of evidence, not at the speed of relief. Relief is dangerous because it makes you forget what the silence taught you. The moment she returns, the pain disappears for a while. You feel chosen again. Your ego feels repaired. The rejection feels reversed. But if you rebuild on relief, the old pattern returns. You chase, she pulls away. You explain, she becomes uncertain. You become anxious, then the cycle begins again. Do not rebuild the same relationship just because both people missed each other. Missing each other is not enough. There must be communication, accountability, consistency, mutual effort. Change behavior. Otherwise, silence only created enough emotion to restart the same pain. Now, what if she never reaches out? This is the part you need to hear clearly. If she never reaches out, you still did the right thing by not breaking first, because the goal was never to force her message. The goal was to stop forcing yourself into a place where you were not being chosen. She may think about you and remain silent. She may miss you and still move on. She may care about you and believe the relationship should stay over. She may feel nothing strong enough to contact you. All of those possibilities hurt, but they are still better than you begging for clarity from someone who does not want to offer it. Private emotion cannot build a relationship. Hid feelings cannot create commitment. You need communication, availability, consistency, mutual effort. If she gives none of those, you cannot live inside what you imagine she secretly feels. That is how men lose months, sometimes years. They tell themselves she is proud, she is afraid, she is waiting, she is testing, she is watching, maybe. But what is she doing? If the answer is nothing, your life cannot remain paused. Behavior is the language you can actually read. Accept it not because the relationship meant nothing. A meaningful past does not guarantee a shared future. You can value what happened without waiting forever for it to return. You can miss someone and still move forward. You can forgive without reopening the door. You can wish her well without staying emotionally available. That is maturity. Now, here is your 7 day reset. For 7 days, do not break first. Do not message her from panic. Do not check her stories. Do not ask mutual friends whether she talks about you. Do not post something designed to make her jealous. Do not reread old conversations after midnight. Do not search for signs that she is about to reach out. Do not make emotional decisions when you are tired, lonely, angry, or rejected. On the first day, remove triggers. Mute her profile if you keep checking. Archive the conversation. Turn off notifications that make you stare at the phone. Protect your attention quietly. On the second day, write the full truth. What was good? What was painful? Where did you start chasing? What did she do that created uncertainty? What did you do that made the dynamic heavier? What would need to change before another chance became healthy? On the third day, rebuild your body. Train, walk, eat, properly sleep. Do not train to make her regret leaving. Train because your nervous system needs discipline and your self respect needs evidence. On the fourth day, rebuild your work. Collect one difficult task. Set one financial goal. Every hour spent waiting for a message is an hour removed from your future. Take that hour back. On the fifth day, define your standards, clear communication, mutual effort, respect, consistency, honesty, faithfulness, emotional availability. No triangles, no permanent uncertainty. Then define your own responsibilities. You must communicate clearly too. You must respect boundaries too. You must not use silence as punishment. You must not chase someone who has chosen distance. On the sixth day, reconnect with life, a friend, a family, responsibility, a skill, a goal, something that existed before her and will exist after her. Your identity must become larger than the relationship. On the seventh day, choose one promise for the next 30 days, a training schedule, a sleep rule, a work block, a social media boundary, a financial target, then keep it. This reset is not designed to make her break first. It is designed to make you stop breaking your own promises. That is the real result. You begin to feel solid again, not healed overnight, not happy every minute, but solid. Your phone becomes less powerful. Her silence becomes less dangerous. Your day stops depending on whether she sends a message. You start noticing that life still responds to your effort. Your body responds, your work responds, your confidence responds, your future responds. That is the part you control. Now ask yourself the uncomfortable question: do you want her to reach out because you believe the relationship could become healthy? Or because you want to feel powerful after feeling rejected? Do you want love or do you want victory? Do you miss her character or do you miss proof that she could not forget you? Sometimes a man does not want reconciliation. He wants the humiliation reversed. He wants her message to repair his ego. He wants to say, I knew she would break. But if your confidence depends on her breaking, you are still not free. You need confidence that exists even if she never sends another word. Confidence built through discipline, purpose, standards, accountability, the ability to accept reality without begging reality to change. That is the man you are becoming. Do not become bitter. Do not decide every woman needs to be ignored. Do not turn silence into your new personality. Do not punish the next woman because this woman became distant. Do not become emotionally unavailable and call it strength. That is pain wearing armor. A mature man can still communicate. He can still love. He can still be kind. He can still be open, but he no longer chases where effort is not mutual. He no longer gives unlimited access to confusion. He no longer breaks his own boundaries because loneliness asks him to. That is growth, so do not break first. Not because she is guaranteed to reach out, not because silence always works, not because you are trying to win. Do not break first because the old pattern was breaking you. Do not break first because you have already made your feelings clear. Do not break first because love should not require you to keep auditioning for basic effort. Do not break first because every time you return to uncertainty, you teach yourself that your peace is negotiable. Stay strong. If she reaches out with clarity, listen. If she brings accountability, observe consistency. If she brings loneliness, protect your access. If she brings confusion, refuse the waiting room. If she is with someone else, refuse the triangle. If she never reaches out, keep building because the deepest truth is this. The real victory is not that she finally breaks first. The real victory is that you finally stop breaking every time she stays silent.